And one of the people that came through was a fledgling art director from the Coleman Studios. Marianne Fisher sent him over to me, James Cameron. And I gave him the short story, I gave him the treatment, I gave him the whole project, and he left 2 scripts with us, which we found somewhat lacking. And basically didn't get the job. Dan O'Bannon got the job. Dan O'Bannon couldn't finish the job. I finished the job. Virginia marketed my screenplay under Dan O'Bannon's name because his screenplay for Screamers, which we all hated in the office, was incomplete. He never finished. So I was basically going out and taking the Dan O'Bannon screenplay and showing it to people like Chuck Freeze and MGM and Orion and Hemdale, and they were saying, "Oh, this is fantastic. That O'Bannon guy's a genius." And I knew he was sitting in a flat in Rancho Park, doing all kinds of things I'm not going to talk about in public, even though the guy is dead, and that's the reason I'm going to talk about it. But basically, there was a very much a topsy-turvy world for me at that point. I was like a Philip K. Dick character myself, because I was a scanner darkly. I was spying on myself. Because I had written the script. Anyway, the point of the story was, once we really got going, financiers were coming out of the woodwork, and we had a deal from so many people, but the one I liked was from Bob Remy at Atco Embassy, which was with Joe Dante to direct. At that point, Virginia just reached out, pulled the carpet out from under me, said, you can't put your name on the script. I said, well, the Writers Guild's going to sort that out, Virginia, not you. And at that point, she got very upset, started screaming and yelling in the office. I came back the next day. She had a quick claim for our lawyer. She said, you can sign this or you can leave. If you sign this, we'll give you $50,000 for the writing fee, what we called it part of your producing fee, because the only person that's going to be credited for the screenplay is Dan O'Bannon. So I looked at the quick claim and said, I can't sign this, Virginia, because it said they didn't write Claw. Well, I know I did write Claw. I wrote it in this office. And you know I wrote Claw, so how can I possibly anyway? But long story short, I experienced a very painful projectectomy without benefit of even a local anesthetic.
Were you a member of the Writers Guild at that time?
No, I was not a member of the Writers. I was about to join the Writers Guild once I got this project off the ground, but I was also producing it. So I had a painful projectomy, and my 2 minutes almost up. But let me just say that Claws are Screamers, are Terminators. It's really as simple as that. You look at a 1984 Terminator, what you're really seeing is a 1979 or a 1980 Claw. Yeah. And I think if Phil, to pick up on John's point earlier, if all the ideas that Phil has scattered over this wonderful town we call Hollywood, in quotes, were fully attributed, correctly attributed to Phil, going all the way back to Twilight Zone, coming all the way up to Black Mirror just the other day.
Here.
He would have to be acknowledged as Hollywood's finest screenwriter. Bigger than Shakespeare, even as far as Hollywood's concerned. Not necessarily in titles, but in revenue generated for Hollywood, Philip K. Dick is #1. And what I would like to do is get everyone to stop talking about the Terminator, which has become a global buzzword for AI and robotics and automation, all the rest of it, and just talk about Claws. And stop talking about a guy who called himself the king of the world, and talk about a very creative, wonderful author who lived and died in Santa Ana, and who was responsible for most of, a great, who would have to earn the mantle, it merits the mantle of Hollywood's greatest storyteller. Thank you, James. Thank you, Fred.
Can you get a plug for the next PKD Fest in Colorado, wherever it's going to be?
Fort Morgan. It's not that big of a town, but that's where Phil is joined with his twin. And this is not as big a thing as this convention, of course, like what would be, But in comparison, it is smaller, but a wonderful time. Like we work with the city, so we have permission to like go to the grave and pay our respects, but then we also have entertaining things. Like I did a quiz show at the 2019 festival where I felt like I alienated a lot of people because I knew I had a bunch of like great scholarly Philip K. Dick fans in the room, so I asked some really hard questions and. At like round 2, this is 2019.
Oh, yeah.
The new festival, thank you. The next one's going to be in June in Fort Morgan.
Fort Morgan, Colorado.
I think the dates are kind of up in the air, but June 13th, that weekend, starting.
Well, but why don't you tell them where you'll be announcing it? Don't you have a Facebook page?
You can go to wide-books.com, and if you'd like a sticker to help you remind you of that, you can go to widebooks.com with a hyphen in the middle, between the words. And David Hyde and Andre Wentz, the two fellows that are also helping put on this festival and did the bibliography, they run that website, and they'll have information posted pretty soon. Right now
And we'll put it on our Radio Free Alchemist page on Facebook too, and Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, I was gonna say I run a drink pong group on Facebook if you guys are on there, and I'll definitely announce it. Or
Yeah, there's also if you don't know already, there are several like really cool Facebook groups for Philip K. Dick fans on there. There's a Philip K. Dick. Is it called the Philip K. Dick fan?
It used to be called Phil. Oh, the group or
Yeah, the Facebook.
website?
The Facebook.
Oh yeah, Phil K. Dick group on Facebook. And it has quite a few like active community members who contribute quite a bit.
So yeah,
It's very good. And as the New York Times put it so well, it's Philip K. Dick's world we only live in it.
Our panel moderator.